Yasodanandjana Brajanaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Bhagavad Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Prabhu Bhagavad Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Bhagavad Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare want to say the prayers? Dayam Vishnu Padramam Saparam Parishtaya Asatoshi Simandas Vangus Esi Bhaktivanta Swami Papa Ki Jai Nantakota Vaishnava Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. All glories assembled devotees, all glories assembled devotees, all glories assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. So today we wanted to read from text number 34.
Hoy estaremos leyendo el Bhagavad Gita, capítulo 9, el conocimiento más confidencial, texto 34.
Gracias. Do you want to just read it? You want to read I'll read the Sanskrit, I guess, and then we can read it. Manmana bhava madbhaktyo madhyaji man namaskuru mamava evaishasi yuktai vaivam admanam matparayanaha. Engage your mind always in thinking of me, become my devotee, offer obeisances to me, and worship me, being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me.
Siempre ocupa la mente en pensar en mí. Vuélvete devoto mío, ofréceme reverencia y adórame a mí. Estando completamente absorto en mí, es seguro que vendrás a mí. Significado de su divina gracia, Srila Prabhupada. Gracias. En este verso se indica claramente que el proceso de conciencia de Krishna es el único medio para librarse de las garras de este mundo material contaminado. A veces, unos comentaristas inescrupulosos desvirtúan el significado de lo que aquí se afirma claramente, que todo el servicio devocional se le debe ofrecer a la Suprema Personalidad de Dios, Krishna. Por desgracia, los comentaristas inescrupulosos apartan la mente del lector hacia aquello que no es factible en absoluto. Esos comentaristas no saben que no hay ninguna diferencia entre Krishna y la mente de Krishna. Krishna no es un ser humano ordinario. Él es la verdad absoluta. Su cuerpo, su mente y él mismo son uno y son absolutos. En el Kurma Purana se declara, tal como lo cita Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami en sus comentarios Anubhasya a el Chaitanya Charitamrita, quinto capítulo del Adilida, versos 41-48, Dehadehi Vivedu, Yam Neshvare Vidyate Kyachi. Esto significa que en Krishna, el Señor Supremo, no existe ninguna diferencia entre él y su cuerpo. Pero debido a que los comentaristas no conocen esta ciencia de Krishna, esconden a Krishna y dividen su personalidad de su mente o de su cuerpo, aunque esto es signo de una crasa ignorancia de la ciencia de Krishna. Algunos hombres obtienen ganancias de desorientar a la gente. Hay algunos hombres que son demoníacos. Ellos también piensan en Krishna, pero con envidia, tal como el rey Kamsa, el tío de Krishna. Él también estaba pensando siempre en Krishna, pero estaba en Krishna como enemigo. Pensaba en Krishna como enemigo. Él siempre estaba angustiado, preguntándose cuándo Krishna iría a matarlo. Esa manera de pensar no nos ayudará. Uno debe pensar en Krishna con amor devocional. Eso es Bhakti. Uno debe cultivar el conocimiento acerca de Krishna continuamente. ¿Cómo se hace ese cultivo favorable? Aprendiendo con un maestro genuino. Krishna es la suprema personalidad de Dios. Y varias veces hemos explicado que su cuerpo no es material, sino que es conocimiento eterno y bienaventurado. Esa clase de práctica acerca de Krishna lo ayudará a uno a volverse devoto. Entender a Krishna de otra manera, oyendo a la fuente equivocada, será infructuoso. Por consiguiente, uno debe ocupar la mente en la forma eterna, la forma primordial de Krishna. Uno se debe dedicar a adorar a Krishna con la convicción en el corazón de que Él es el Supremo. En la India hay cientos de miles de templos para la adoración de Krishna, y en ellos se practica el servicio devocional. Cuando esa práctica se lleva a cabo, uno tiene que ofrecerle reverencia a Krishna. Uno debe inclinar la cabeza ante la deidad y ocupar la mente, el cuerpo, las actividades, todo. Eso hará que uno se absorba en Krishna por entero sin desviación. Eso lo ayudará a uno a trasladarse a Krishna Loka. Uno no debe dejarse desviar por los comentaristas inescrupulosos. Uno debe dedicarse a los 9 procesos del servicio devocional, comenzando con los procesos de oír y cantar acerca de Krishna. El servicio devocional puro es el máximo logro de la sociedad humana. Los capítulos 7 y 8 del Bhagavad Gita han explicado el servicio devocional puro que se le presta al Señor. El servicio que está libre de conocimiento especulativo, del yoga místico y de las actividades fruitivas. Puede que aquellos que no están plenamente santificados se vean atraídos por diferentes aspectos del Señor, tal como el Brahmayotiam personal y el Paramatma localizado, pero un devoto puro emprende directamente el servicio del Señor Supremo. Hay un hermoso poema acerca de Krishna en el que se expresa claramente que cualquier persona que esté dedicada a la adoración de los semidioses es muy poco inteligente y no puede obtener en ningún momento la recompensa suprema, que es Krishna. Al comienzo puede que el devoto caiga a veces del plano modelo, pero aún así se debe considerar que él es superior a todos los demás filósofos y yogis. Aquel que siempre está dedicado al proceso de conciencia de Krishna se debe sobreentender que es una persona completamente santa. Sus accidentales actividades no devocionales van a disminuir y pronto él se verá situado sin ninguna duda en el estado de plena perfección. El devoto puro no tiene ninguna posibilidad de caer, porque la divinidad suprema cuida personalmente de sus devotos puros. En consecuencia, la persona inteligente debe emprender directamente este proceso de conciencia de Krishna y vivir de una manera dichosa en este mundo material. A su debido tiempo, ella recibirá la recompensa suprema, Krishna.
Oh, so that is a really nice verse on how we should engage our mind in thinking of Krishna, of God, and become the devotee of God.
Este es un verso muy bueno que nos ayuda a fijar la mente en Krishna, en Dios.
And it's really a fairly straightforward process that Srila Prabhupada has given us all.
Es un proceso bastante sencillo que Prabhupada nos ha dado a todos.
That we should engage everything in service to Krishna, in surrender and devotion to God.
Que debemos ejecutar servicio a Krishna y rendirnos a Krishna.
And, you know, God, He's just asking for our devotion and our love.
Dios lo que está pidiendo es nuestro amor y devoción.
So, when we do our daily prayers and pray to God to allow us to serve Him and worship Him, then we should be praying. If we don't have the full surrender, we should be praying for God to show us how to and give us the desire to surrender to Him.
Cuando hacemos nuestras oraciones diarias, deberíamos de pedirle al Señor que nos ayude a emprender a su servicio y que nos ayude a fijar la mente en el servicio.
And this is really important is when we chant our Hare Krishna mantra, you know, we chant for 2 hours every day, and it's so powerful, and it gives us an opportunity to associate directly with God.
Esto es lo que debemos de pensar cuando estamos cantando Hare Krishna, en una relación directa con Dios.
And when chanting, we're actually praying to God to show himself to us and to allow us to reconnect with him and to surrender fully to God.
Cuando cantamos Hare Krishna, estamos pidiendo a Krishna que se nos manifieste.
And we should be excited that every day we get up and chant Hare Krishna for 2 hours.
Deberíamos de ser alegres, felices, que nos podemos levantar y poder cantar este mantra Hare Krishna.
And you should be looking at your watch, see what time you started, and this is what I do anyway. And you see what time I start, and then chant for 2 hours afterwards.
Yo lo que hago es que miro el reloj y empiezo a cantar y canto por 2 horas.
And we should be thinking, oh wow, I'm almost done with my rounds. Gosh, I wish I could chant some more.
Debemos de pensar, oh wow, estoy casi sin tiempo, quisiera cantar más.
And that should be our feelings about chanting and praying to God. Because if we're chanting properly, then God will show himself through his holy names and then allow us to surrender more of our soul to him.
Así es como deberíamos de sentirnos en el momento de cantar, y de esa forma Krishna se nos va a manifestar a través de su santo nombre.
Sound vibration is really powerful.
La vibración sonórica es bien poderosa.
And even the karmis know this, that with sound, through sound,
Y hasta los karmis saben esto, que con el sonido
they can use it as a weapon.
ellos pueden usarlo como un arma.
But this is mundane sound. I'm just speaking of mundane sound.
Claro, esos son sonidos mundanos.
Yeah, the police, they use sound. They take a big dish and they have a sound that they send to people that are protesting, and they send a big sound wave at them, and that causes them pain because it's so powerful sound is.
La policía tiene unos armas que son como un plato que dispara como unas ondas de sonido, de vibraciones, y le afectan a las personas que están en manifestaciones, en huelgas.
And Nicholas Tesla, who was a scientist from, I guess he was Russian or something, but anyway, he discovered that every object has a sound vibration to it.
Nikola Tesla, un científico muy conocido, descubrió que la materia tiene un sonido, vibración.
Yeah, that every object has a sound vibration, and he created a device that would emit the sound vibration of like buildings and bridges.
Él creó un artefacto que podía emitir los sonidos de los edificios, puentes.
And that sound vibration would literally shake the building, and it could destroy the building by just matching the same vibration of sound that an object has.
Y esa alma lo que hace es que, o ese artefacto lo que hace es que iguala las vibraciones del objeto y lo destruye. Por ejemplo, el de un edificio lo destruye.
And sound can break a glass.
El sonido puede romper un vaso.
A high-pitched sound from an opera singer can break a glass. That's how powerful sound is.
Un sonido high pitch puede romper un vaso.
And sound, Lord Brahma, when he created the universe, he sung the mantras to create the universe, so it was through sound.
El Señor Brahma, cuando creó el universo, lo creó a través del sonido.
All religious institutions, they use sound to reconnect themselves with a higher consciousness.
Todas las religiones usan el sonido para conectar con una conciencia más elevada.
You know, the Buddhists, they chant the mantras as well. They chant sound mantras.
Los budistas también cantan mantras, sound mantras.
And yogis chant Om.
Los yogis cantan Om.
And even in the scriptures, in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, a lot of the verses have Om in them.
Y hasta en la escritura, el Bhagavad Gita, el Srimad Bhagavatam, muchos de los versos tienen Om.
But the point is that sound is so powerful that if you chant the Hare Krishna mantra, that you can transcend this material world.
El punto es que el sonido es tan poderoso que uno puede trascender este mundo material.
And so that's the importance of chanting Hare Krishna.
Esa es la importancia de cantar Hare Krishna.
And Bhagavad Gita is called the Song of God. It was sung by God.
El Bhagavad Gita es la canción de Dios, fue cantada por Dios.
And this also is sound.
Pero también es sonido.
So anyway, I just wanted to speak a little bit about the importance of sound vibration in the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and how by chanting it we can focus on God and His holy name, and pray, directly to God, and then God will acknowledge that we're serving Him and praying to Him, and He will help us.
Pues yo lo que quería hablar hoy era sobre la importancia del sonido del Mahamantra y de cómo nos podemos conectar con Dios y con Krishna a través del sonido.
It's no small feat to surrender your soul to God.
No es un pequeño logro rendirse hacia Dios.
But really, that's the only way we can be happy, is if we surrender our hearts to God and our complete soul to God. That's the only thing that's going to bring us happiness in this world.
Pero realmente esa es la única cosa que nos va a traer felicidad en esta vida.
Because this world is temporary and full of miseries, and it's not our real home. It's an illusion.
Porque este mundo está lleno de miseria, una ilusión.
The reason it's an illusion is because it's temporary.
La razón por qué es una ilusión es porque es temporero.
And the soul, being eternal, wants to be in a place where they can eternally serve God and be happy.
Y el alma quiere ser eterno, así que quiere estar en un sitio donde puede ser eterno y servir felizmente.
Because everybody's looking for love and happiness in this world.
Porque todo el mundo anda buscando amor y felicidad en este mundo.
That's the nature of the soul, is to love and be loved.
Esa es la naturaleza, amar y ser amado.
And the highest love is to love God and develop a relationship with God.
El amor más alto es amar a Dios y crear una relación con Dios.
Because we're all going to end this temporary body, and we're going to want to have a relationship. When we do that, we already establish a relationship of service and love, and we want to not be in shock when we leave our body. We want to already have that relationship so that we can immediately reconnect, because you can reconnect while you're still in the body.
Porque vamos a perder este cuerpo y queremos crear una relación con Dios. Queremos estar preparados para el momento de la muerte y la transmigración, y que no sea shock para la entidad, para nosotros.
And what's stopping everybody from being happy all the time in this world?
¿Qué es lo que nos detiene a nosotros de ser feliz en este mundo?
It's the three modes of material nature.
Son las tres modalidades de la naturaleza material.
The soul in its original condition is like a diamond. It's free from all contamination.
El alma en su condición natural es como un diamante.
And when we associate, when we come in contact with the three modes of material nature,
Cuando entramos en contacto con las tres modalidades de la naturaleza material,
then our souls become covered.
pues nuestro alma está cubierto.
And when it's like a filter, it's like we're covering ourselves with mud.
Es como un filtro y estamos tapados con tierra.
And so that's when the soul comes into this world and associates with the material modes of nature. Then they're covering their soul and creating a filter between their soul and God.
Ahí es donde el alma entra a este mundo material y después está cubierto de las modalidades.
And the soul, if you remove these coverings around the soul through sound, through mantra meditation, then you can connect back to God, and then you'll be happy all the time.
Y estas contaminaciones a través del canto uno las puede remover y estar en contacto con Dios.
But our present situation is just like a frog in a well.
Para nuestra situación actual es como un sapo en una letrina.
You know, a frog, could be like hopping on top of on the ground, and he's hopping and hopping. We have so many frogs around here. I see them hopping and jumping on walls and stuff, and then they could accidentally fall into a well. They could jump into a well, to the bottom of a deep well.
Es como aquí pueden haber muchos sapos, los veo corriendo y brincando por ahí, después se caen
And
agua.
And the frog, I mean, he jumps into a well, but he stays in this well. You can't get out because the walls are too high, and it's dark, and you can't see.
El sapo puede caer en un hueco profundo y no puede salir, está oscuro.
So the frog, he might be in that well for years and years and years, and in the darkness and in the all the enclosed area, he forgets, that he thinks this is his life now, and he forgets that there's a whole world outside of the well.
Y ese sapo puede permanecer en el pozo por años y años y años, pensando que esa es su vida y que no hay nada más y que no hay un mundo fuera de ese pozo.
And the frog in the well, he thinks that his reality that he's experiencing now, because he's been there so long, he thinks that reality is his home now, and so he's thinking that his reality is everything.
Y el sapo empieza a pensar que esa es su realidad, está viviendo en un pozo y él entiende que esa es la realidad.
Even though he might know that he came from a place that was full of light and with other frogs and happiness, then
aunque sepa que viene de un lugar donde hay muchos sapos y hay felicidad.
Since he can't get out of the well, he just becomes closed off to everything.
Desde que no puede salir del pozo, está clausurado de todo.
And someone who's inside of a well, who's cut off from God,
Y alguien que está desconectado de Dios.
They say misery loves company.
Dicen que la miseria, le encanta la compañía.
So they want everybody to be as miserable as they are. So if another frog came to the top of the well and said, "Hey, come out, I'm going to help you out. I'll throw a rope down." He's gonna say, "No, you come down here. This is the reality."
Así que ellos no quieren aceptar la realidad. Si viene un sapo desde arriba y le tira una soga y le dice, mira, aquí te puedo ayudar, vente conmigo, el sapo va a decir, no, tú no sabes, yo me quedo acá.
But then maybe he'll say to them, what's your qualifications for pulling me out of the well? He might say to the frog trying to help him out of the well, I don't know, I'm not sure that you can get me out of this well. What are your qualifications?
El sapo puede que le pregunte, bueno, ¿cuáles son tus cualificaciones?
Yeah, are you authorized by a higher power to get me out of the well?
¿Estás autorizado por una autoridad para poder sacarme del pozo?
Did you get the whole board to tell me to get out of the well? I mean, do you have permission?
¿Le pediste el permiso para poder sacarme del pozo?
But the reality is, that, he says, "No, I'm just going to help you out."
No, solamente te voy a ayudar.
Because the one that's on the outside of the well, he can see that that the happiness is not being down in darkness and being stuck in a situation that's not normal for you.
Porque el que está fuera del pozo sabe que ahí no está la felicidad, sabe que eso no es ser feliz.
But if there are some people that are stuck inside the well, and and they try and lead others. They try and mislead people.
Hay gente que está en el pozo y pues trata de mislead, engañar a las personas.
But that's committing violence against another soul.
Pero eso es cometer violencia hacia otra alma.
So that's why it's important to surrender to Krishna and to get out of this well.
Por eso es importante rendirse a Krishna y salir de este pozo material.
It always seems that there's always somebody that's trying to put out the light.
Parece que siempre hay una persona que está tratando de apagarle la luz.
Because, as devotees, we all as devotees
Porque como devotos, todos nosotros como devotos,
are developing our higher consciousness,
estamos desarrollando nuestra conciencia elevada,
our God consciousness,
nuestra conciencia de Dios.
because Srila Prabhupada named the institution the International Society of Krishna or God Consciousness.
Porque Srila Prabhupada llamó esta sociedad internacional para Krishna o sociedad internacional para conciencia de Dios.
To be conscious of God.
Para ser consciente de Dios.
And there's always somebody, and if we become conscious of God, there's always somebody that doesn't want to see the light. It's like holding a mirror up to somebody, because a devotee, shines the knowledge on everybody, and there's always people that it blinds them. They can't take it.
Hay gente que no quiere ver la verdad, la luz es como un espejo, el devoto emite.
Because there's a lot of the demons, they don't want it. They don't want to get out of the well, and they don't want to see their faults, and they don't want to be happy.
Los demonios no quieren salir del pozo, ellos no quieren ver su falla, no quieren ser felices.
Because as a demon, if you're a demon, then you're just compounding, karma every day and doing bad things to other people. And
Porque como demonio uno está acumulando estas reacciones.
and try explaining on Sankirtan to someone who's demoniac in nature, that they should serve God.
Trata de explicarle en Sankirtan a una persona que es demoníaca que le sirva a Dios.
Because they'll just try and put your light out. They'll just try and hurt you.
Ellos lo que quieren es apagarte la luz, tratar de apagarte.
Because they don't want to go through the work it takes to serve God and to surrender to God. They want to be God.
Ellos no quieren ir por el proceso de entender a Krishna. Ellos quieren ser Dios.
Yeah, they want to be God. That's why they got into the well in the first place, to control everybody and to become God.
Por eso es que se cayó en el pozo, porque quiere ser Dios y quiere convencer a los demás.
Because you can't be God in the spiritual world, because there's already God there.
No puede ser Dios en el mundo espiritual porque ya hay un Dios ahí.
So, because they wanted to be like God, God has to create this world where they can pretend to be like God.
Como quieren ser Dios, Dios pues creó este mundo donde las personas pueden creer y pretender que son Dios.
They can pretend that they're very powerful.
Pueden pretender que son bien poderosos.
Because they have a lot of green paper.
Que tienen mucho papel verde, dinero.
And they can pretend that they're very beautiful in, say, Hollywood.
Y pueden pretender que son muy hermosos, como Hollywood.
Have you ever seen, I'm sure you have, but pictures of celebrities without their makeup on? Has anyone seen that?
Sin su maquillaje.
Yeah, with their makeup, they're very beautiful, but of course, compared to God, they're not so beautiful. But
Con su maquillaje son hermosos, pero no son igual de hermosos que Cristo.
But when they take their makeup off, you can't believe it.
Pero sin el maquillaje uno no lo puede creer.
I mean, they're ugly.
Son feos.
I mean, they don't look like, like when they have that makeup, like a picture.
No se ven igual a cuando tienen maquillaje o cuando están en la foto.
So they want to, a lot of them, they put this fake suntan lotion on their skin. You know that? It's a fake tan. It's a fake tan. Yeah, spray tan, yeah. And they put that on their skin because devotees, if you're a devotee and you're celibate, you naturally glow, But if they're doing sinful activities, then they're pale skin, real pale skin.
Cuando uno está celibato, puro, uno brilla, pero cuando uno está haciendo actividades pecaminosas, no brilla, es pálido.
So you can pretend, and we can all pretend in this world, that we're God, that we're the most powerful, that we control everything, that we're beautiful, that everything belongs to us, even things that we can't see, half of that belongs to us.
Podemos pretender que somos hermosos, inteligentes, poderosos.
And think about it, it's like if we're not, serving the person that created this wonderful world here, then we are stealing from God.
Así que piénsalo, si no soy esta persona que que creó este mundo, pues estoy robándole a Dios.
Because everything belongs to God.
Porque todo le pertenece a Dios.
All energy belongs to God.
Toda la energía le pertenece a Dios.
Someone might say,
Alguien diría,
that there is no God.
alguien diría que no hay un Dios.
There's atheists. I can't believe there's atheists, but there are.
Hay ateos, que no puedo creer que hay ateos, pero hay ateos.
And there's also people, you know, they want to be God, so they practice witchcraft or
También hay personas que quieren ser Dios y practican brujería.
have rituals, demoniac, satanic
Tienen
rituals.
rituales demoníacos, satánicos.
And they do all this to gain power
Y hacen esto para adquirir poder,
because they want to be God.
porque quieren ser Dios.
They don't care
A Dios no les importa.
if everybody, you know, wants to be God in the world. I mean, they don't care about the other person that wants to be God.
A ellos no les importan las otras personas que quieren ser Dios.
And that's why the world is in the state that it's in.
Por eso es que el mundo está en el estado en que está.
Because everybody wants to be the supreme controller.
Porque todo el mundo quiere ser el controlador supremo.
And you get 100 supreme controllers in the same room.
Y tiene 100 controladores supremos en el mismo cuarto.
Fighting breaks out to see who's the most powerful.
Se pelean para ver quién es el más poderoso.
But they have no power.
Pero ellos no tienen poder.
Only God has power.
Solamente Dios tiene poder.
So it's important that we set a good example
Es importante que demos un buen ejemplo
of following the regulative principles and chanting Hare Krishna
seguir los principios regulativos, cantar Hare Krishna
and awaken our souls so that we'll be happy.
y despertar nuestro alma para que seamos felices.
Each one of us has spiritual gifts given by God.
Cada uno tenemos regalos espirituales dados por Dios.
We can use those to help the others out of the well.
Podemos usarlos para ayudar a otros del pozo.
But first, help yourself.
Pero primero, ayúdate a ti mismo.
Because if we're not connected with God, then we need to work on ourselves more.
Porque si no estamos conectados con Dios, tenemos que trabajar más con nosotros.
And I'm speaking for myself when I'm saying that because
Y hablo de mí mismo cuando lo digo.
certainly I need to work on myself every day.
Ciertamente tengo que trabajar más todos los días.
But I look forward to it.
Pero I look forward to it.
I look forward to it. It's exciting to be in this time and place on this planet.
Es emocionante estar en este lugar y tiempo en este planeta.
And through love conquers all.
Y a través del amor, el amor conquista todo.
Love is the most powerful weapon.
El amor es el arma más poderosa.
Nothing can stop love.
Nada puede detener el amor.
Nothing.
Nada.
So when we chant Hare Krishna, another thing happens is it's sending the Hare Krishna mantra out into the universe.
Así que otra cosa que sucede cuando cantamos Hare Krishna es que el mantra viaja al universo.
We're creating a sacrifice
Estamos creando un sacrificio
to God.
Sacrificio a Dios.
And everyone's pleased with devotees that practice chanting Hare Krishna because of their
Y
sacrifices.
todos están complacidos cuando los devotos cantan Hare Krishna, los altos sacrificios.
The demigods are pleased and they provide rain.
Los semidioses están felices y crean lluvia.
everything around you becomes purified.
Todo alrededor tuyo se purifica.
The trees, the flowers, they
Los
sprout flowers.
Los árboles, las flores.
And it becomes, you make the place where you are a spiritual place.
Crear el lugar en donde está un lugar espiritual.
Yogis say that when they chant mantras that it creates these mandalas, you know, like into the universe, like mandalas, like sort of like it's a thought of like chakras. You know, if you've seen the chakras, it's like a mandala like those. And when you chant Hare Krishna and goes into the universe, it creates beautiful things, and it permeates everything. Just like with water, if you chant mantras over water, water is like a computer. And if you chant mantras, and they've done this, they've tested it, the Buddhists chanted mantras over water, and it turns them into these beautiful snowflake-like crystal, things, by chanting mantras over it, through sound.
Los yogis dicen que cuando recitan los mantras, envía uno chandra. ¿O chandra?
Chandra.
Chandra.
Chakra, yeah, chakra. Yeah, chakra, like the yogis, raise their consciousness from one chakra up to the other, to the top of their head. And it's in the Bhagavad Gita. It's funny because, it's not funny, but it's interesting because one time I was in Denver and I was really into yoga and meditation, and of course I got Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, and I read it, and anyway, there was a picture, I don't know if it's in this one, but there was a picture of a yogi meditating, and it shows him leaving his body and going back to God. Well, there's many pictures of yogis. Here's one of yogis meditating on God. And there's one that, here it is, yeah, this one. Where the yogi, see how skinny he is? He's really skinny. And he's meditating. And he's bringing his energy from one chakra to the other, to this top of his head chakra, and then connecting back with God. He's going back to God. But the thing is, what was funny and not so funny was that there was a temple president in Denver. I'm not going to say any names, but there was a temple president in Denver.
Un presidente en el templo de Denver.
And anyway, when I first joined the movement, I was really into, yoga, meditation, and
cuando me metí al movimiento estaba entregado a lo que era yoga, meditación.
Although I wasn't expert at it, and I did yoga, the exercise yoga.
No era un experto, hacía yoga, ejercicios de yoga.
But anyway, I was mentioning to him about, these yogis that raise their consciousness through the chakras. And he says, there's no such thing as chakras.
Le estaba mencionando
That's what he told me.
Al presidente sobre los chakras, y entonces él me dice, there's no such thing as chakras, no hay nada como los chakras.
He said, that's all nonsense.
Eso es nonsense.
But it's
Sin sentido.
yeah, but it's not nonsense because it's in the Bhagavad Gita.
Y tiene sentido porque
And these yogis, they're willing to do everything
estos yogis están dispuestos a hacer todo
to connect back to God. They're willing to do anything
para conectar con Dios, están dispuestos a hacer todo.
In India, they sit in front of fires in the middle of summer.
En India empiezan fuego en el medio del verano.
And in the winter time, in the Himalayas, then they bathe in ice water and they just sit in it.
Y en la Himalaya, durante el invierno, se sientan en agua, se bañan en
Yeah.
agua fría.
And then they walk around with no shoes on
Caminan sin
in the
zapatos,
snow and ice.
en la nieve y en el hielo.
Surprisingly, they're willing to do anything it takes to surrender to God.
Sorprendentemente están dispuestos a hacer lo que sea para rendirse a Dios.
And surprisingly, their body just doesn't die.
Sorprendentemente su cuerpo no se muere.
And there was one yogi that went into the forest and he was tired of this world and he was meditating and praying and he couldn't connect fully to God. So
había un yogi que estaba cansado de este mundo, entre un bosque, empezó a meditar.
So he went into the jungle and he saw a tiger and he laid down in front of it and he said, "Eat me."
Fue a la jungla, ve un tigre y dijo, cómeme.
So anyway, that's how determined we all should be.
Así es cuán determinados debemos ser.
And the reality is, I don't have that determination that these great yogis have.
La realidad es que no tengo la determinación que tienen estos yogis,
But I pray to get it.
pero oro por tenerlo.
I pray to get it every day. When you chant Hare Krishna, you should be praying for God to show you how to surrender to Him.
Cuando cantas Hare Krishna deberías orarle a Krishna que te dé la forma de cómo rendirte a Él.
And even Buddhists, like the Buddhist monks, they're also will do anything to get back to higher consciousness.
Los monjes budistas también hacen cualquier cosa por obtener una conciencia más elevada.
And a lot of them go into the pine forest and they eat pine bark.
Y muchos de ellos entran al corn,
The pine bark, the bark of the pine tree.
se comen la corteza del árbol.
Yeah, they eat the bark of the pine tree, and has anyone eaten that? Have you tried it? No? I haven't tried it either. But they eat it because what it does is if they just keep eating it for a couple months, that it mummifies their body. And when they leave their body, it mummifies their body, and when their body is mummified, then they put them in their samadhi, and their body doesn't decompose. That's how they mummify their body, by eating pine bark. But you can see that they also, the Buddhists also know the tradition of this yogi leaving his body from the top of his head, the soul.
Los yogis saben de esta tradición del alma salir de.
Yeah, the Buddhists know it. I went to Vietnam.
Yo fui a Vietnam.
Whenever I travel around, I always go to the temples wherever I am.
Cuando viajo siempre voy a los templos, donde sea que esté.
And Vietnam is really famous for having one of the biggest temples, the biggest Buddhist temples in the world.
Y Vietnam es muy famoso por tener los templos budistas más grandes del mundo.
So I went into the temple there. I was curious. I'm not a Buddhist. I'm a Hare Krishna, but I went in there just to look around and.
Entré al templo, estaba muy curioso. Soy un Hare Krishna, pero solamente estaba curioso.
But I wanted to understand what those monks, what they were thinking about.
Quería entender lo que los monjes estaban pensando.
And a lot of the statues that I saw of the samadhis of the Buddhist monks.
Muchas de las estatuas de los samadhi, de los monjes budistas,
they had coming out the top of the head of the statue, they had another little figure, like that was the soul, like a real person coming out of the top of the head of the statue.
tenían encima de la cabeza de la estatua como una cosita que representaba el alma saliendo del cuerpo.
So when I saw that, I realized that those people that left their body out of the top of their head, those yogis, those monks,
Cuando vi eso, realicé que esas personas, esos monjes que estaban,
they were also practicing the same type of meditation
estaban
that,
practicando el mismo tipo de meditación
that we practice.
que nosotros practicamos.
They were using sound to become free from their bodies,
Utilizaban sonido para ser libres de su cuerpo,
chanting mantras,
cantar mantra.
and so it was interesting for me to see and understand that
Fue interesante ver y entender
in all religions
que en todas las religiones
that their goal is the same, to surrender to God completely, surrender their soul.
que su meta es la misma, entregarse a Dios, entregar el alma.
And so that's what I was understanding about seeing these temples in Vietnam, that they were similar to our temples as far as their process.
Que entendí que estos procesos son similares a los de nosotros.
Even though yogis and Buddhist monks and other priests,
Aunque los yogis, monjes budistas, sacerdotes,
the process is the same, to love God and to surrender your soul to God.
el proceso es el mismo, amar a Dios y entregar el alma a Dios.
And you know, they experience happiness and love. The Christians, when they pray and when they surrender to God and when they sing.
Los cristianos experimentan amor y felicidad cuando ellos cantan y rezan.
So they're also going back to God.
Así que ellos también van de vuelta a casa.
Our process is really powerful because God brought this Hare Krishna mantra to the earth.
Nuestro proceso es bien poderoso porque Dios trajo este mantra.
So it's just how fast do you want to go back to God? Really, each one of us, you know, is different.
Todo es como cuán rápido uno quiere ir.
So how fast do we want to go back to God?
Cuán rápido quiere ir de vuelta a Dios.
Do we want to go like next week? Or do we want to go in 10 years?
Quiere ir la semana que viene, quiere ir en 10 años.
Are we going to let something distract us?
Vamos a dejar que algo nos distraiga.
And I know it's difficult when, you know, I mean, I've been a devotee for 40 years.
Yo sé que es difícil, he sido un devoto por 40 años.
But it's difficult when you're faced with so many people that don't want to see the light, and if you have to work with them and be around them.
Pero es difícil cuando te enfrentas con personas que quieren apagar tu luz, es difícil estar cerca de ellos.
They might not be as serious as we are in trying to serve God and go back to Him.
Ellos no necesariamente son igual de serios en ir de vuelta a Dios.
So they'll like, you know, say that we're like fanatic or crazy.
Ellos dicen que son fanáticos, somos locos.
Like we were talking earlier. We were talking earlier about this, about devotees are not like everyone else in the world.
Estábamos hablando de eso más temprano, que los devotos no son como las demás personas alrededor del mundo.
Devotees are very rare, and if you come in contact with a pure devotee, that's really rare, like
Okay.
Srila Prabhupada.
Los devotos son bien escasos y encontrarse con un devoto puro es hasta aún más escaso.
There's just not that many around.
No hay tantos por ahí.
And the ones that become fully surrendered, usually they leave the world. They don't want to be here anymore.
Y los que se entregan, los que están completamente renunciados, no quieren estar aquí en este mundo material.
And another thing, because the vast majority don't want to serve God, they want to be God, they want to serve their senses.
Y como la gran mayoría no quiere servir a Dios, quiere ser Dios, quiere servir su sentido.
It's difficult to finance religious institutions.
Es dificultoso financiar instituciones religiosas.
And there was a real famous guru in India, and I gave him a Bhagavad Gita at the airport, and
Había un gurú muy famoso en el aeropuerto, le di un Bhagavad Gita.
I'm trying to think of his name, but anyway, he was the one who taught levitating.
Él es el que enseñó cómo levitar, enseñaba cómo
Yeah.
levitar.
Well, he was teaching people how to levitate, when they're doing yoga, and anyway, I gave him. He was a real famous guru at the time, and I gave him a Bhagavad Gita. He didn't give a donation.
Le enseñaba a las personas cómo meditar. Era muy famoso, le di un Bhagavad Gita, no me dio una donación,
But he did take the book from me, and
pero aceptó el libro.
And the thing is, his whole society, he had like maybe 20,000 people following him.
Tenía como alrededor de 20,000 seguidores.
But his whole society, it went under, it collapsed.
Pero su sociedad colapsó.
And then he disappeared.
Y después él desapareció.
Because he couldn't get financed.
Porque no podía conseguir dinero.
And that's a big issue in today's world. The more demoniac it gets, it's harder and harder to get financing.
Esa es la situación de este mundo. Que cada mundo demoníaco cada vez es más difícil adquirir financiamiento.
Without financing, the whole institution goes under.
Sin dinero la institución completa colapsa.
So anyway, that's kind of the situation we're in the world.
Esa es la situación actual del mundo.
Also with sound, when we're given the Gayatri Mantra, the Guru, I forgot to mention it, but the Guru chants the Gayatri Mantra into your ear.
También cuando recibe el Gayatri Mantra, el Guru te lo recita en el oído.
This is a really powerful sound vibration, and
Esto es una vibración sonora muy poderosa.
that's what they give you in second initiation.
Eso es lo que te dan en la segunda iniciación.
So anyway, pretty much, it's difficult to give books out to people at the airports.
Es difícil distribuir el libro a las personas en el aeropuerto.
And I worked a lot of airports. I worked the Chicago airport,
Trabajé en muchos aeropuertos desde Chicago,
St. Louis airport,
St. Louis,
the old Denver Stapleton airport,
Denver Stapleton Airport,
and Detroit airport.
Detroit Airport.
And anyway, it's hard to give people knowledge. These books, it's hard to give them knowledge because that's a light. That's shining a light on their soul.
Es difícil dar este conocimiento. Esto es brillar
And
una luz al alma.
and but even if they keep it in their house,
aunque lo tengan en su casa,
or read it,
o lo lean,
or give a
o
donation,
dan una donación,
then still that frees them.
como quiera eso los libera.
And it gives them a chance to learn to love God.
Y le dan una oportunidad de poder amar a Dios.
I was distributing books in Denver, in the downtown Denver, on the mall. It's an outdoor mall.
Estaba distribuyendo libros en Denver, en centro comercial.
And I approached this woman and I asked her if she'd like a book, you know. And she looked at me, she said, "That book will not make you happy."
Me acerco a esta señora, le ofrezco un libro y ella me dice, ese libro no me hará feliz.
I said, "What?" She said, "That book will not make you happy."
Este libro no te hará feliz.
She hadn't even, looked at it.
Y ni siquiera lo miro.
But, that's like you're trying to turn the light on and show them, themselves.
Estás tratando de prender la luz y enseñarle a ellos.
And we need the light, we need Krishna consciousness, God consciousness to see within ourselves and see what we need to work on every day in order to advance more in God consciousness.
Necesitamos la luz, necesitamos conciencia de Krishna para poder ver dentro de nosotros.
And certainly there's a lot of distractions.
Seguramente hay muchas distracciones.
And certainly, sometimes, we'll be chanting and our mind will wander.
Seguramente estamos cantando y nuestra mente se desvía.
But if we see our mind wandering, we have to stop right there at that point and say, "Hey, tell your mind, God is right here."
Pero si te distraes, tienes que detenerte en ese momento y decir, mira, hey, Dios está aquí.
And He's waiting for you to surrender. He's waiting for us to surrender. He's right there when you chant the Hare Krishna mantra.
Está esperando a que te rindas. Está ahí mismo.
And
Cantando Hare Krishna.
if God was standing right before you,
Si Dios estaría frente a ti,
wouldn't you want to surrender your soul to Him?
¿no te entregarías completamente a Él?
Yeah, because otherwise, you're just you're not making progress, and we want to make progress.
Sí, porque si no, no estaría haciendo progreso y queremos hacer progreso.
Because progress, you have to make progress. You can only go either up or down.
Porque tienes que hacer progreso, solamente puedes ir arriba o abajo.
If you're not going up, then you're being pulled down.
Si no estás yendo arriba, estás siendo dado abajo.
But don't let people pull us down
No dejes que la gente te haga abajo,
into the well,
hacia el pozo,
because we want to stay outside of the well.
porque queremos estar fuera del pozo.
And so I think that's... any questions or comments or questions or corrections? Anything? No? Yes? Yes?
Simple questions. Are the devotees low?
Yeah.
It's a question.
What?
You talk to us about
Devotees glowing?
Glow.
Yes, they do, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the devotees glow. When I saw Srila Prabhupada in the airport, I saw him in the Denver airport, and when he smiled, well, I'd never seen anyone like Srila Prabhupada before. And when he smiled at me, I was pointing at him, it was probably pretty rude, but I didn't know any better. And then he just smiled at me, and he was just glowing. I mean, I've never seen anybody, and never in my life have I seen anybody glow like he did. And he just lit up the whole concourse. And that's what got me to notice him, because he was actually glowing, and I couldn't believe it. I never seen, I just never seen anybody, that conscious of God before. And it was just shocking. It was like a light, and I saw him, I was like, whoa. And I was in shock, but at the same time, I was so attracted that I wanted to go over to him, which I should have just left my mother and just went over to him and met him. But wasn't my time. So, but yeah, devotees glow, and devotees, like you see sannyasis, their faces with sannyasis. If they're practicing the surrender, if they surrendered everything in God, their faces are like, glowing. A sannyasi's face should be glowing, and that's how you can see his purity. Now the karmis, they'll put fake tan on, like Trump and all these other people. I mean, I'm not saying nothing bad about them, but they imitate. They imitate. They might have seen someone that powerful, that's glowing, that powerful, like Srila Prabhupada, with the glowing, and they want to imitate it, but they don't want to practice what it takes to get there. They just want to use fake tan. I've used it myself before, fake tan, but only at work, so the karmis wouldn't think I look too blue. Anyway, that's neither here nor there, but yeah, Srila Prabhupada, he really did, he really glowed when I saw him. He was amazing to look at. And he was fully Krishna consciousness, fully, no doubt about it. So, yeah, that's why I followed him all these years. And is it time for the Arti, Prabhu?
1 minute.
1 minute. Anything else? No? Jai. Oh, glory to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you.